What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse rants, no hate. So Eddie Hearn was being interviewed, and Eddie Hearn was pretty much being asked about the Connor Benn, Chris Eubanks Jr. situation. So pretty much, Eddie Hearn starts trying to explain, and he's trying to make comparisons, and he starts talking about Claressa Shields' fight with Savannah Marshall and saying that there's been no testing in that fight. Well, how would you know that? And let's just say, for example, and then he's saying, yeah, but they were tested by UCAT, not VADA. And okay, so hold up. What does that have to do with Connor Benn? Connor Benn failed his drug test. And then we hear about the fact that he failed the drug test before the one that we heard about. So, like I alluded to before, when Eddie Hearn said we knew about this for 2 weeks, okay, maybe he's talking about a prior test that he failed. Who knows? And maybe he didn't want to say that. But regardless, what did any of that have to do with Claressa Shields? And vice versa. What does whatever you're saying didn't happen, and that fight had to do with Connor Benn, who failed his test? What Eddie Hearn was trying to say was, how do we know that these fighters are clean? I mean, there's no test to prove anything. Well, Claressa Shields claps back, and she pretty much went on Twitter and she told him that he doesn't know what he's talking about, and that for his information, that she and Savannah Marshall have both been doing random testing for the past, several months. So she posted the results of every test. So she basically did what Connor Benn can't do or has failed to do so far, which is prove his innocence. So she proves she's a clean fighter. He can't prove he's a clean fighter. Eddie Hearn is digging a big hole for himself because the more he's trying to explain, the more of a buffoon he's looking like. Eddie Hearn can mess around. He's already a guy people don't like. Now, I'm not the type of person. And I'm not saying that they're justified or not justified for not liking Eddie Hearn or whatever. I don't know. I don't get caught up in all of that type of stuff. But again, where I see the logic and reason in what people are saying, yeah, versus what is opposed to that, I'll give my take on that. But like I said, I'm not going to try to lean towards anybody or show favoritism. And Eddie Hearn, if he don't watch himself, people, things that what he's saying about this fight can have him, people can look at him the same way they looked at Panama Lewis. Because you're talking about a fighter that has something in his system, but you're talking about the fight continuing, or you don't see why the fight has to be postponed. I mean, we get it, but he hasn't been suspended. There's always a but in whatever he's saying. So to make that comparison is just like, you still can't just swallow that pill that Connor Benn popped dirty. And regardless to the fact that Chris Eubanks Jr. was saying he still wants the fight, and the fact that Connor Benn is pretty much saying, forget what's in my system, the fight should go on. He's still talking about the fight's going to still happen. Fine when you're clean, but at the same time, you might get banned. And I don't see how, if you can't prove your innocence, that you won't get banned. But to even just jump forward to say the fight's still going to happen is like, do you even care? The fact that you have something in your system that shouldn't be there? No. Like I said, for this guy to say the things that he's saying and carry on like everything's just normal, people are making more out of the situation than what it is. You guys are looking extremely dirty. Sean Porter, said his piece about Connor Benn standing up and admitting what he did and why he did it. Yeah, that sounds real simple when you didn't have dirty intentions. So this is why, like I said, I don't care if you want to say it could have been his nutritionist or his chef or whatever. Bottom line is, you're not a baby. A baby will open their mouth and eat whatever you put in front of their face. Now, when they taste it, they might spit it back out, give you that look like, what you give me this for, right? That's a baby. This is a grown ass man. I'm pretty sure no nutritionist walked over and said, open wide. Ah, okay, there you go, big fella, down the hatch. No, this is a grown ass man. So when I heard Eddie Hearn saying what he said, it's like, damn, him and Connor are paralleling each other with bullshit. Like, what are you doing? The man popped dirty. Why are you talking like it's nothing wrong? So bringing up Claressa Shields, which, by the way, Claressa didn't even have to vouch for Savannah Marshall, but she did. It's like she said, both of us have been tested randomly. So she had choice words for Eddie Hearn. Eddie is just, like I said, digging a deeper hole for himself every time he talks. And Connor Benn, no different. This is looking bad for them, and they don't even understand that. And I'm not a person that worry about how you look at me. And, as long as I know I got my feet on the ground and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But it's just one of those, I don't like that person type thing. I can care less about that. But if I'm doing things that's just wrong and I'm showing it's all about this money, I want that bag. I don't care at any cost. I don't care. Nah. What would I expect people to say? How would I expect people to feel? Eddie Hearn is acting like this is just, something being blown out of proportion. So is Connor Benn. So again, bringing up Claressa Shields, any other fighter for that matter, that does not put Connor Benn in the clear just because you bring up somebody else's name to make a point that how do we know that they're not dirty? But you know how bad that makes you look? Because it's like you can't just say, nah, the guy popped dirty. He has to prove that he didn't do it. How can he prove that? And I guess they feel like there's no way he's going to be able to prove that. Because you think about what the options are. If someone puts something in his food or drink or whatever, like I said before, either they're going to come clean and tell him they did it, or either he was aware that they did it. What is he going to say to them that they're not going to retaliate and say, well, you know what I gave you, or I told you I was putting it in there, or whatever, right? How could you prove your innocence if you were set up? Because even if you were set up to give you a boost or to make you pop dirty and get caught and however it was, you should want to know who did it. And all Connor Benn has been showing is an arrogant attitude and acting as if he don't understand why people are looking at him the way they are. But I just felt like the more Eddie Hearn, I said the same thing about Connor, the more he talks, the worse he's looking. He need to just watch what he say, because not only are you in a position of you're dirty and a lot of people just don't trust you as it is, you're making yourself look, you're exposing yourself to be, I just don't care. I want what I want. And to say, I didn't take anything, but yet you pop dirty. What do you expect to happen? Yeah, mistakes can happen. You can be innocent, 110% innocent, and look guilty because of the circumstances. Things like that can happen. But what I'm saying is you need to understand, if you cannot prove your innocence, even saying things like, I hope the apologies are as loud as the disrespect, you can say all that stuff, but unless you can prove yourself, then what are you saying? All you doing is saying, I didn't do it. Or do you even care how it got in your body? And the type of excuses that people thought he was going to make, he's not even making those excuses. He's just saying, I don't know how it got in there. Well, the same way how Eddie Hearn was appalled and felt despicable towards Big Pharmacy Miller. Connor Benn is saying the same thing that he said. He just don't know how it got there. He never took anything. How could you not feel the same way towards Connor? The same way you wasn't there to know if Big Pharmacy Miller was telling the truth or not. You went by what? The test results. That's what you have to go by with Connor or any other fighter. If it's in his system, it's in his system. And the fact is, he did the same thing. Failed multiple tests, just like Big Pharmacy Miller. So to act so shocked and not understand why people are looking at the situation the way they are, it's bad. It's bad. And I think Eddie is just, like I said, he's putting himself in a very nasty situation the more he talks. And if he truly doesn't see the wrong in this situation, then Eddie Hearn has issues. Because you can't sit here and say that this is normal, this is okay, people are blowing this up. It's not that big of a deal. And that's the way he's acting, very nonchalant about it, because he's, to try to make excuses. This isn't monkey see, monkey do, man. Any parent that has ever had to tell their kid, because maybe your kid did something that they shouldn't have done, clowning around in school or something, and then they get written up, and then your kid says, well, I wasn't the only one. What do you tell your kid? I'm not concerned about what the other kids did. You're my child. They're not. I don't have any say-so in their life. Okay? My focus is to make sure you stay on the right track. You're my responsibility, not them. You don't do what they do. And that's kids. These are grown men. So don't bring up another fighter's name to try to make a comparison to say, but there was no testing, because we can say that about any fight that we don't know if a fighter was tested or not. Any fighter we can say that about. But I'm glad, the fact that he brought up Shields' name was his choice. But I'm glad he said her name. Why? Because another fighter, they might have responded, but they probably wouldn't have did what she did, which is, I got receipts. So anything that you're trying to say, I'm going to shut you up. And even though it was tweets, just her choice of words, you know she wasn't happy about those comments that Eddie Hearn made. You need to be focused. Put that same energy into trying to find out what happened with Connor versus trying to bring other fighters' names into this. So anyway, talk to me in the comment section. What y'all think about Eddie Hearn and his choice of words and how he's handling the situation with Connor. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people. And I will catch y'all in the next video.